The screen cuts to black. No music, no fade out, just silence. And millions of viewers across the world thought their cable box broke. But it didn't. That was the ending. For 6 seasons, The Sopranos gave us mob hits, family drama, therapy sessions, and pasta dinners, but nothing hit harder than those last few seconds, the most infamous cut to black in TV history. And the question has haunted fans ever since. What actually happened to Tony Soprano? Did he die? Did he live? It was the point that we'll never know. Let's break it down. The show that changed television. When The Sopranos premiered in 1999, nobody knew it would redefine television. Before then, prestige TV wasn't really a thing. You had sitcoms, you had crime procedurals, but The Sopranos was different. It followed Tony Soprano, a New Jersey mob boss, juggling 2 families, the criminal one and the suburban one. He ran strip clubs and extortion rackets by day and went to therapy at night. It was part gangster epic, part domestic drama, and part existential comedy about anxiety, mortality, and meatballs. What made it groundbreaking wasn't just the violence or the mob politics, it was the psychology. Tony wasn't a caricature of a mobster. He was a flawed, complex, deeply human character. He could be brutal in one scene and heartbreakingly vulnerable in the next. And that complexity set the stage for everything that followed. Breaking Bad, Mad Men, The Wire. None of them exist without The Sopranos. But as groundbreaking as the series was, nothing defined it more than its ending. The build-up nobody saw coming. The final scene takes place in a diner. Journey's Don't Stop Believin' plays on the jukebox. Carmela walks in, then AJ. Meadow struggles to parallel park outside, and Tony just sits there, eating onion rings. On the surface, it's mundane, boring even. But if you watch closely, it's loaded with tension. Every time the bell on the diner door rings, the camera cuts to Tony looking up. Every stranger feels suspicious. The guy at the counter, the trucker, the man in the members-only jacket heading to the bathroom. David Chase, the showrunner, turns a simple family dinner into a paranoia machine. It's the ultimate Sopranos moment. The violence we don't see is scarier than the violence we do. The symbolism of the cut to black. So what does that cut to black mean? Theories split into 2 camps. Theory 1, Tony dies. The camera's perspective is Tony's, and the last thing we see is him looking up, then nothing. Black. Silence. Just as Bobby Bacala foreshadowed earlier. You probably don't even hear it when it happens, right?
You probably don't even hear it when it happens, right?
Instant. Lights out. That's death. Theory 2. Tony lives. The point isn't Tony's death, it's his life. The never-ending anxiety of being in the mob. Every door opening, every face, every bell ringing, it could all mean death. The black screen wasn't Tony dying, it was us living in his paranoia forever. And honestly, both interpretations work. That's the genius. David Chase's master trick. When asked, David Chase dodges the question. Sometimes he hints Tony lived, other times he implies the opposite.
Yeah. It was a plan. I don't know. I forget what else. But I talked about things that were rejected. I would never say it anyway, but of course not in front of a big room.
But here's the truth. He wanted it to be debated. By cutting to black mid-scene, Chase forced the audience into Tony's perspective. We didn't just watch Tony's story end, we felt it. The uncertainty, the paranoia, the nothingness. The show wasn't giving us answers, it was making us live inside the question. Why it's the perfect ending. The Sopranos was never about mob hits or action. It was about mortality, about how people deal with the fact that they're going to die, whether they admit it in therapy, deny it with food, or distract themselves with crime. Tony's fate isn't spelled out because it doesn't need to be. What matters is the tension, the paranoia, the awareness that it could all end in a blink. That's life in the mob, that's life in general. The real ending. So did Tony die? Maybe, maybe not. But the real point is this: we were put in his shoes, living every second on edge. And just like Tony, we never saw it coming. The screen cuts to black. And in a way, we all got whacked. That's why the ending works. That's why it's unforgettable. And that's why The Sopranos didn't just end, it left us staring into the void.